Good evening. I'm Gary Ronnie, and this is not the show next door. Tonight, we're going to do a number of things. We're going to interview the new kids on the block, going to visit with a local artisan, we're going to go garage sailing with a professional, hear some traditional songs sung by Jill Lagerstrom, create some compost in a punch bowl, and see what it takes to become a real granola. So, just what is not the show next door? Well, I think of it as this is the show that Ed Sullivan would be doing if he'd been writing a gossip column for the Suburban Life instead of covering New York, assuming Ed were alive, of course. Not the show next door. It's part vaudeville, part journalism, part affectation, mostly confusing. By the way, the stunning music that you're hearing in the background right now is by our house band, the Public Domains. They're on the black and white label if you want to look for them. So, sit back, squirm in your chairs a little bit, enjoy the show if you must or if you can, and remember, entrance is not for everybody. It's a beautiful early fall morning, late September, and what does it bring to mind? Things like football, homecomings, garage sales. I'm in Riverside this morning with a Riverside resident, Joyce Bradley, who is, I don't know, from what I know of Joyce and from what I've learned talking to her, Joyce is really a garage sale expert, and that's another major activity of fall. We're going to head out with Joyce this morning, hit a couple of garage sales with her with a view towards what makes a garage sale a great one or not. Joyce, when you walk up to a house, what can you tell right away if it's going to be a good sale or not?
Well, usually they have lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. I'm the sort who, if I see a lot of clothes, I think it's going to be a bad sale. Is that a bad notion?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Usually, if that's all they have, yeah.
As far as prices, are you a haggler? I mean, are you a haggler, Joyce?
Definitely.
What's the single best deal you think you've ever gotten at a garage sale?
I think that a 10-carat gold-filled cross pin I got for 25 cents.
25 cents. Did it have someone's name on it, or was it new?
It had a picture of the state of Illinois on the thing.
On the clip?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so that was all that there was on it.
Okay. Well, Joyce, if you don't mind, I think we'll head off to East Burlington as our first stop this morning to I think it's a multiple family garage sale. Be curious to see what kind of bargains we come up with. So follow along with us if you would. Good morning.
Morning.
Are you one of the salespeople?
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
one of the multifamilies? Is this it, or is it this pile?
This part is mine,
this part.
and that part will be...
Okay. Do you do this just once a year, or is this a regular thing for you? Let's
Once
turn
a
around
year.
so folks can see you.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought this was a Boston Celtics jacket.
No, Southside Irish.
Southside Irish, even better. So once a year you gather together all this stuff?
Right.
Well, you haven't acquired a lot this year, have you?
Well, I haven't put it on out yet either.
Oh, okay, okay. Just curious, is this a real calculator?
Yeah, it's
50
a
cents?
calculator.
Okay.
I have an exercise bicycle here.
Okay. Would you take a quarter for that calculator?
No,
Not at this time. of
not
day.
yet.
No.
Not yet.
About
Maybe later.
By what time do you start thinking of slashing prices?
Oh, probably around 11, 12.
Really? How late is the sale going today?
Till people stop coming.
Well, they haven't stopped yet. We may be back, and I'll try that quarter.
Okay, thanks.
Joyce, have you spotted anything hot?
Yeah.
You bought something already?
Yeah. I spent 30 cents on it.
What was it originally? You didn't pay full price, did you?
Well, the asking price is 10 cents, so I figured it's worth it.
Oh, okay. So got some cosmetics and
Whoa, a bee.
a bee. How much did you pay for the bee?
Oh, the bee just dropped in.
Bee just dropped in. Oh, okay. So 30 cents total for those.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Have you looked everywhere? Have you seen everything you need to see? Or
I think so.
Does this sale meet your criteria? I mean, is it a good sale or just a good place to start?
It's okay. Let's put it that way.
It's an okay sale. Well, we're going to look a couple more minutes. If you see anything hot, we'll share it with you. Hold on. What we evidently have here is some sort of potty trainer for a big red stuffed something. I think we probably ought to move on before we see if the training worked. Oh, there. Slide out drawer. Okay.
You know where South Valley Plane is?
No.
Is this typical garage sales you go to, that they serve food as well?
If you go to the ones in Berwyn, yeah, they do.
In Berwyn?
In Berwyn, and I believe it's Stickney.
Stickney.
They also do that. They serve food. They have the coolers with soda, and they do have hot dogs, potato chips. Yeah.
Okay, so...
It's becoming, I guess, the end thing.
Okay. I was curious because if garage sales are for useless or household items you don't need...
Not useless,
houseless
bargains.
items you don't need any longer. I wonder if the food has been around as long as some of the household items and they're getting rid of the
I
food.
would say I've seen them in the last couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is incredible. I've never seen people serve food. Look, we should ask the cook.
Oh, he's super. He's super.
Good morning. Your name is?
Gary Pelker.
Harry. Good morning. I'm Gary. I'm with Riverside Field Cable Television. It seems like awfully early for people getting into jalapenos, but are they at this hour?
Oh yeah, in fact, last year Gloria came here and ordered about 7 Polish sausage sandwiches at about 8 in the morning. Caught me by surprise.
I saw the steam, Larry. That's why I came. I saw the steam.
So in addition to Polish, I saw you had tamales?
Tamales, chili dogs, everything is down there.
Oh, a pan to the price sign. Although this won't be shown until November, people can see what they missed out on at least. Is this neighborhood sale a once-a-year thing, you and the neighbors here? Or?
Yeah, once a year, not usually October, but we get a little earlier this year.
Okay. Beat the weather on it.
Right.
Well, great. Thanks for talking to us.
Okay.
Well, Joyce, I wasn't overly impressed with that one. What, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give that as a garage sale?
About a 5 or a 6.
5 or a 6? I think that's kind of generous of you. Did you pick up anything that you thought were good deals?
Oh yeah. A pair of nice mittens for 50 cents. I bargained. She wanted $1 for them. I haggled and got them for 50 cents.
That's amazing. It's the garage sale's just opened, and as we heard one woman say to us, no, it's much too early to haggle, but we're with somebody good. She got a 50% off right after the opening bell. Where are we going to next, Joyce? Lionel Avenue, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
271 Lionel Road.
Okay, we'll go over there among the nouveau riche and see what kind of expendables they have out in the yard. Meet you over there in a minute. Take 1, the parakeet. Our crack camera crew is under a tree right now. Some sprinkles have broken out on our garage sale day. But, oh, you're following us around.
Oh, yes, I'm back
Here's a
again.
woman who we ran into on our earlier sale. I didn't get your name then. Your name is?
I'm Pat,
Pat.
and this is Joyce over here.
This is Joyce.
I don't need to be.
You don't need to be. Nobody needs to be on television.
Sure, it's fine.
There's too much television as it is, actually.
How much? What did we?
It was very bad days for grad sales again.
Okay, but you get the more selective, discriminating buyer out here. The
Yes.
hardcore
Yes,
buyer.
yes, we are. Right, Joyce?
Right. And besides, if you're an optimist, the rain will go right away.
This is Joyce's back, and Joyce's back agrees with the statement just made. Have you found anything that really grabbed you this morning yet?
Not really.
Did you go to the one on
But
Myrtle?
it's early yet.
Not yet, but I'm bringing my husband to
couldn't
jazz
find
record
it.
so he
I
doesn't
don't know
crap
if
that
the
on
wrong
the house
address.
again.
Oh, you mollify the husband with a few baubles.
You have to.
You have the Beatles' White Album for
I
him,
know,
too.
I have the Beatles,
That's
but I
very-
have... Where's the one?
Frank
for Jake?
Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra,
There,
Stan
that's for
Kenton.
Jake, that's
Okay.
for
Oh,
That'll
isn't
buy him
that
off.
isn't that
Excellent.
wonderful?
by the
Well, have a
way,
good day.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Boo,
Oh,
would you take a lower price on these?
I would take $3.
How about 1?
No. No, those are hardly worn.
How about 2?
How about it's 3? 3 is the limit.
250?
250. So
the tension's unbearable, folks. I'm just waiting for a release on that one. So, Joyce, you have your second bargain of the day. I think you got 17% off on that one. Doing
I
pretty
don't
well.
have my calculator.
Well, that was just rough figure. So, excellent. Pair of boots, $3, marked down to $2.50. I
Hardly worn?
wish you all were here. Oh, that's a good question. Are they worn? Joyce, why don't you sniff them?
No, they're
No?
fine.
Oh, okay. They're brand new.
You can check the treads.
Oh, let me see the treads. The treads.
Yeah, they're pretty
Oh,
steady.
they haven't picked up any pebbles or nails or anything. So this is a
They're
heck of a deal.
waterproof?
The crew couldn't keep out of this either. Our crack producer spotted a Gatorade bottle.
Hi.
Saw 25 cents on it. Includes the instant Gatorade.
And I'm not even gonna haggle for this.
No haggling?
Nope, 25 cents, I'll take it.
Is it a lot of sugar or is it
Interesting.
NutraSweet?
Let's see. I
Contains...
think it's lots of sugar.
Oh, you're in
See,
luck.
right there, lots of sugar.
You're in
Well,
luck.
no.
It contains no fruit juice.
All right.
Just what you're after.
Hey, but no caffeine either.
Okay, well pay for that thing so we can keep
Okay,
shooting, would
okay.
you? Checking out the used record bin right now, we have the Stills Young Band. Remember those? Remember Steve Stills? I mean, minimum of talent, okay? Neil Young has carried him his whole career. Whenever Neil Young decides to get together with him again, he carries him. 25 cents, you can have this one. Oh, Barry
Our
Manilow.
hero, our hero.
Barry Manilow 2, I want you to see this. Barry Manilow 1, I don't own Barry Manilow 1 or Barry Manilow 2. Probably never will. Belafonte at Carnegie Hall. Oh!
It's better.
Rod McEwen. Now, many have wondered what happened to Rod McEwen. He went off in search of his father many years ago. Remember that? Remember that? I think, as far as I know, he just decided to make a career again of bad poetry. But I haven't seen any of that in a long time either. Oh, Johnny Mathis.
Environment.
Many of you, oh, heavenly, Johnny Mathis. Many of you kids today probably don't understand the true meaning of Johnny Mathis to people of our age, okay? Many of you are probably conceived to Johnny Mathis, which is a tremendous irony because Johnny Mathis isn't what you'd call necessarily a virile role model, but, you know, it worked, okay, for a lot of us. Some Herb Alpert, Stevie Wonder, Jose Feliciano, the very, very nice Sergio Mendes. Janice Ian, sensitive as hell, and she's just growing older, but she's still sensitive.
Oh.
Well,
Joe
frankly,
Bush and his wife live on the street in a white house.
frankly, there's nothing here.
Oh.
But for that instant review, this is sort of an extension of Lumpy Gravy. That was a cultural overlook at a garage sale in about a minute and a half. The Bob White. Yes. I spend far too much time in supermarkets and in the lines in supermarkets. So therefore my knowledge of the world is kind of limited. I do know that there is such a thing as New Kids on the Block, and when I read the Inquirer, I'm able to determine either that they are two-dimensional pop mockeries or else they're just shallow money-making machines. And those are the positive things I picked up from the Inquirer. I used to be a journalist. I'm not anymore. I don't care about truth and beauty and all that. But they've been slandered, I think. And I decided that I would offer the New Kids a chance to come on the show and answer these sorts of charges, that they're shallow, that they really have no depth whatever. And so they are here. And I'm grateful to them for taking the chance to answer the questions we want asked. For instance, let's get right to it. Donnie. The supermarket magazines say that you guys are infantile groupie abusers. Is there any truth to that? Well, Donnie chooses to stand silent on that. How about this one? How about Donnie? Or did I ask you already? It's hard to tell you guys apart anyway. You all look the same when you dance. I don't know what it is. Donnie, how about those rumors about you guys being owned by a mafioso? Have any of you woken up with a horse's head in your bunk beds lately or anything? I take their silence as being acquiescence. They've been taught to take the fifth the way their owner has, apparently. But they were brave. They did face up a couple of tough questions. But I have one more thing I'd really like to hear from them on. You guys, the music business is tough. It's cruel. You're a hero today. Tomorrow you're a bum. I'm not saying necessarily you'll end up that way, but you guys have indicated that you want to stay in the business. You want to keep rocking. 10 years from now, for instance, where do you see yourself? Okay. It's a good answer. Another question, you guys. I couldn't believe this. On an award show not all that long ago, I saw you guys on stage with Flavor Flav. I mean, What could you guys possibly have in common with Public Enemy? Can you answer that? Somehow I doubt that scholars and university professors are going to deal with new kids' music the way they seriously dealt with Beatles music 20 years ago. Great of the guys to come in, though. And next, let's have a real musician come on. We're going to have an RB graduate, Jill Lagerstrom, play for us. We are now back in the studio with Jill Lagerstrom, RB graduate of what now, Jill? Almost 2 years ago?
89 or 90 was it? I think it was 1990.
Yeah, the time
89?
goes by
I don't know.
so quickly
Yeah.
when you're at the University of Chicago and studying Greek, right?
Right.
Or no, it's classics you're studying,
Classics
right?
Greek right now, yeah.
Right. And so what could be more appropriate for a Greek scholar than also to be a very proficient folk musician? Jill is with us with her guitar, with her banjo tonight. I admire her banjo greatly. I'd like to have it. Jill, you're going to be doing a number of things for us. Some vocal, some not.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You want to handle your own intros?
Okay.
I'd be anxious to hear what you have to say.
All right.
Jill.
I'm going to be doing some songs from the Appalachian Mountains, which is kind of my specialty in the folk music area. The first one I'm going to be doing it's not a traditional song. It's a song by Elizabeth Cotten, who lived around the turn of the century in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And she wrote her own songs. And what was so interesting about her was that she played the guitar backwards. She used to play a right-hand guitar in a left-hand way, but she still made it sound beautiful. I don't know how she did it, but this is a song that she wrote around 1919 in North Carolina. I'm going away, honey, and I'm going to stay. You spent all my money and you got no time for me. I'm going away, honey, and I'm going to stay. Baby, you're going to miss me. That's when I'm going away. But you know you weren't true, honey, and I believed in you. I'm so broken-hearted, just oh, the way you do. You told me you love me, no other one but me. You never give me no loving. That's when I'm going away. You call me your honey, you spend all my money, then you think that's funny. That's when I'm going away. Never be no sunshine, gonna always be rain. Baby, going to want me to come back again. Never be no sunshine, gonna always be rain. Baby, going to miss me. That's when I'm going away. You call me your honey, you spend all my money, and then you think that's funny. That's when I'm going away. Okay, there were some pretty strong women songwriters in those days. Boy, let me tell you. She's just one of a whole bunch of women songwriters to come out of that time. Now the next set of songs I'm going to do, well, I'm actually going to do some tunes, are traditional. And what that means is they were never really written down. They were just kind of passed on from generation to generation because the people who made them up didn't really read music or anything like that, which means also that they changed from, they kind of evolved through time. And as a result, really, you can never really play the same song the same way twice. But the way I play the banjo is a lot different than the way you usually see it on TV. You usually see the Beverly Hillbillies. They play more like a bluegrass style that emerged kind of in the 1950s. What I do kind of goes back farther than that. It's called clawhammer style, and it's called clawhammer because you shape your hand like a claw, and you hit the banjo with a hammer. It's kind of a more older traditional style. The banjo originally came over from Africa. It was just like a squash, like a gourd with a stick in it, made with gut strings, usually with a calfskin head strung across it. But we've kind of mechanized that version a little to make it easier to play, probably. I'm going to be doing a set of these traditional tunes that come from the mountains of Appalachia. First I'll be doing The Soldier's Joy, then Liberty, and then I'll do the Mississippi Sawyer. Thank you.
Jill, I'm impressed. I
Thank you.
gave up on banjo a number of years ago. I never got to frailing or clawing. I'm reminded of a Peanuts cartoon from years ago. Do you have the Pete Seeger banjo book?
Yes.
Remember where Linus is saying the world would be a more peaceful place, the people would be more placid if every baby at birth was issued a banjo?
And keep them busy. Keep
Well,
'em
keep-
busy doing something.
keep
That's
'em
what I would
busy,
do.
Very, very nice. Thank
Okay,
you so much
very
for coming.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you.
We'll be back with something else. Okay, we're in the hallway of Mark Johnson's home. We're in part of fashionable Riverside. I won't give the address, or people will be pounding on your door after this. We're here to take a look both at Mark's house as an interesting kind of museum, a museum of collections, and a museum of a lot of pieces of interior landscape that Mark has put together. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, thank God for editing, right? Yeah. Pan down to the fireplace. I like that. You know, obviously it isn't a functioning fireplace,
No.
but the addition of some plastic between the birch
Yeah, you know.
get a nice effect.
Well, you know what's interesting about that is I can light that up, and
Oh, okay. All right.
so it looks like it's on fire.
Ah, that's great. I have to digress for a second, tell you something great I saw last week. I was in Boston watching television, and you can send in 1995 now and get a videotape. It's a videotape of a fire burning in a fireplace with the sound effects and everything. I couldn't believe it. You know, they said so real you can almost smell the smoke. I couldn't believe it. You're in front of your big screen TV looking at a fire. But I thought, if they're advertising this on TV, somebody's buying it, right?
Indeed.
Somebody out there
Yes.
is buying it. Unbelievable. This table, Mark, is that something you found that
No,
you've...
that's a table that I've made.
Okay.
A very simple table made out of 2 by 10 piece of pine. In the lumber industry, 2 by 10 meaning the size of the lumber here.
Mhm.
It's 2 inches by 10 inches roughly. And then I drilled holes all the way around, laced it with leather. I did a painting on top of, kind of an Indian motif with leaves.
I noticed in coming in the room too, Mark, that you seem to have like an arbor or like there's something growing in your ceiling. Now is that... No, it's not connected to anything, is it? Jay, if you could pan on back and catch that. That's a very lovely limb.
Those are some limbs. Almost straight out of a magazine. It's so exciting.
Yeah. The lights that are in there, is that just a Christmas touch or is that a permanent part of the piece?
Well, they work both as a Christmas touch, but they also work as a permanent touch, and perhaps you can imagine stars or
Yeah.
something to that effect.
Well, thank God for editing, right? Yeah. Now we have over here something that looks an awful lot like, gee, the kitchen table I grew up with, you know, that neat kind of top, but then again, it doesn't look like the kitchen table I grew up with. Mine didn't have birch growing out of it. Tell us about the table.
Well, the table was an inherited table, a utility table, very much like the table that you grew up with. And I took the table and then have painted this area here, the wooden areas, and then put stains on them, many, many different colors of stains. And in the front, there was a drawer missing. I built a drawer and then added a birch pull to that. And under the table, there's a stool that I made out of birch and with branches as rungs. It has a cow.
Yeah, I was going to ask where you got the Holstein.
It's just a paint job,
Okay, good. It's not a
like
cow.
you might get at the Earl Shive. I don't know.
Right behind me is a tree, or something a lot like a tree.
Well, no, Gary, that's not a tree. That's a lamp.
A lamp.
Anyone can see that's a lamp.
Anyway, Oh, okay. I thought this was some more of your, that you found this lamp cord out in the woods along with the branches.
Yeah, I took it right out of the woods, just like that. It grew there.
Now this tree, as opposed to the one over our heads right now, does have some leaves. And
Yeah.
where are they from again?
Well, the leaves are made of the corrugated edging material that which you would find in a garden.
Mm-hmm.
Although there are some wooden leaves
Mm-hmm.
fastened by safety pins, which make it easy. We're always going for easy. Easy is always best.
Well, when fall comes too, it's much easier for them to fall from a safety pin than have to, disconnect themselves.
Indeed, indeed.
And that is a huge table, and it looks heavy, and it's hard for me to imagine that the branches can support all that weight, but you must have taken all that into account.
Well, a lot of people have that same impression, and I love this table. It's very sturdy. If you notice the branches, there's a lot of branches, and with all those branches, it supports the weight of the table, the television, anything on top of there. It supports it very well.
Well, I suppose the thin spokes of a bicycle tire look by themselves like not much, but the effect altogether.
Exactly, the same principle. And if there was an earthquake, no, there hasn't been one around here in a long time, but it would hold fast very well.
Thank God for editing, right? Yeah. Okay, we've moved into another room of Mark Johnson's home. This is featuring a great chest of drawers. And Mark, I've never seen a color like that. How did you achieve that color?
Well, I acquired the chest in poor shape, and even now you can see the way the wood is warped, and that didn't bother me so much. I liked that kind of natural distortion, or that natural progression of the elements distorting and changing. But the finish was so bad that I just took a latex paint and painted the whole thing. And then with a number of stains, and a whisk broom actually is what I used to apply the stains, I just kind of jabbed at it. I got a flow going in different areas so that it had some continuity and some direction.
On the wall in back of us, we have a portrait. And that is a portrait of?
That's a portrait of my daughter, Chloe. She was a few years younger in this particular drawing, and not having paper on hand, I took paper bags. And you can see now that they're separating. But it was paper bags taped together, and then I had my daughter lie on the paper, and I traced around her.
Okay.
So you're picking up on some of the artist's secrets here. And then done with crayon. Crayons, there's something very simple and basic about them, and anyone can use them. It was very conducive to the child in the drawing, and the child-like quality of the crayons. It works for me there.
Yeah, that's nice.
Well, here we are in another room of the Johnson house, and we are in the bathroom, one of the private places of this house. And it has fish. The motif of this room is kind of being a bathroom. It's kind of the watery world. So we have turtles, and we have fish, and we have all kinds of exciting underwater creatures. And if you'll notice here, I have a toilet paper dispenser. Well, naturally, you have to have something when you're in a bathroom. So again, it's a box. The top does come off, and it does store paper. If you want to take a look inside there, it stores paper. It is a box, a dispenser. It's decor. What a function! What a thing! More fish.
This is your daughter's room, right,
This
Chloe?
is my daughter's room, Chloe.
Okay. What you've done with her bed, you've really made it very wild.
Well, the bed was a hand-me-down, a gift from a relative, and nothing fancy about it, but I took and painted it and gave it a quality, an animal quality.
Mm-hmm.
leopard spots to go with the spread of the zebra.
With the zebra just killed.
Yeah, the freshly killed zebra. So we've got that exciting jungle quality happening in this room.
And a string of fish.
A stringer of fish,
as well.
freshly taken from the pond.
Yeah, I almost recognize the shape, but not the color of this particular fish.
Is that a trout or a muskie?
No, not a muskie. Probably a trout. One of those rare lavender trouts that you'll find on North Halstead. But what is this red creature up above?
She has a dragon living in her room.
Okay.
It's very frightening. Breathes fire. It's here day and or night.
You can't wish it away.
Oh, can't wish it away. So there we have our dragon, our living dragon.
Yeah.
I think every house should have a living dragon.
Well, Mark, I think we've seen every room in your place. We've seen boxes empty. We've seen boxes full. We've seen mostly sculptural type materials, but we've also seen other media. Mark does this work not just to enhance his own home, but Mark is more than happy to work on commission or to duplicate any of the things you've seen here. Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you can do, what kind of lead time you'd need, and most of all, how we can get a hold of you.
Okay, I will make these things for anyone interested. The materials that I use are wood, fabric, any number of things, and the ideas are unlimited. And anyone interested in a box or a ladder or decorative, a table, functional items, cabinets, woodworking, bookcases, those types of things I would be glad to make for anyone. And I can be reached at 708-442-5617. That's a Riverside phone number.
Great. We'll repeat that number for you all again later. Mark, thanks so much for having us in.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
Great.
I'm so glad you could.
That was very interesting, Mark. I should comment, some of the footage you saw there, that footage preceded the AT&T method of jerk and shoot, right? So our camera person that day was on the cutting edge of video, I think. Let's, Mark, now talk about some of the pieces you brought with us, some of the things that weren't on the film footage at your home. For instance, no dragon in that box, I trust.
No.
For instance, this, I've given it away. This actually is a box. Mark, what do you use the boxes for? I mean, are they functional for you?
Well, they are very functional, but I leave them around the house, kind of dress things up, and it makes the place homey for me. It makes it comfortable.
Well, for instance, these are not corn cobs, right?
No, but they sure do look like corn cobs.
Yeah, they do. You've obviously gone to the trouble of attaching some real corn tassel to it. This box is empty. Do you have anything in it at home? And is it something you actually use, or?
Well, truthfully, I usually don't use them in a functional way, and I use them more decoratively.
Okay. But folks are invited to do so. I notice, we'll look at the other boxes as we go along, but I notice you consistently use unfinished natural wood as legs and then go to some sort of a finished, to some degree, wood for the basic structure.
Well, I take a great deal of my inspiration from nature, and I use found objects, and I'll comprise these boxes and make what you see here, using any number of materials, and like I say, I like the natural materials.
I can vouch for that. One thing we don't have on film for Mark's house is right inside the inside door. There's a great, it looks like a pair of wooden gams, you know, really nice long legs that you found just as they really needed nothing added to them, as I recall. They were
walking sticks.
Walking sticks.
That's what they look like.
Let's look at another box. This looks, is this a Canadian box? I see a maple leaf on it. Is this cedar?
It is cedar, yes.
Okay.
And then the texture is rough. We have birch here.
Oh, okay.
Some, debris, natural debris in the woods, leather. And again, the top comes off. It is functional.
Okay, now
You could store anything in there.
the twigs you've entwined around it acts like a very strange hinge or kind of a lock
Sure.
in an odd way. So leather plus natural cedar plus birch plus some manner of vine plus, it's very good.
Yeah.
All natural, all organic. Now here's one that, boy, let's both work on this.
It's
This
heavier.
one has a little more heft to it. I see again you've worked corn into it,
Yeah.
birch. I would wager this isn't natural, though.
Well, actually, it is a natural material. It's raffia.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's dyed green,
All right.
and so it simulates grass in this
When,
instance.
I remember when I first saw it, I thought you had some sort of Easter egg stuffing that you'd worked into this, but that's the case. The stones have been affixed. What kind of glue do you
Well,
need?
you know, I
for
just
it?
put them on with hot glue.
Oh, just hot glue.
They're all really made simply. You know, it's the real joy is just putting them together and collecting all the materials
Okay.
and throwing it together and see what I can come up with.
Do you, for instance, run across a load of gravel and you think gravel box, or you just grab the gravel and say, I can use this for something sometime?
Well, that's right. A lot of times I'll collect things and then eventually use them. And other cases, I'll have an idea in mind, and then I'll go in search of that particular material.
Okay.
In this case, I just filled my pockets and with rocks from the beach.
There are rocks all over the place, Mark. How big were your pockets?
Well, I
Oshkosh,
actually had more
Goshes?
pockets than my own to help me on this job.
Okay. Oh, and if you could see inside, folks, there is a nest in there as well. There are no life forms in there right now, but that could make a very decent dwelling for some small animals. Before we look at the last box, Mark, another thing I noticed you brought along. This absolutely fascinated me. It either looks very old, like a Dead Sea Scroll, or is this something you made as well?
Well, actually, I didn't make this.
Oh, is this found also?
No,
or?
a friend of mine had made this out of a kind of an artist paper. And it is very nice, and the natural stick, it was, I think, made with me in mind. And so then I put a collection of photographs inside that
Okay.
are pretty unusual. They really speak for themselves.
I remember looking at them. Yeah, they are what could loosely be called surreal.
Yeah, I think it was the camera, personally. I'm not sure how these came about.
Right. I'm sorry that they're too small to really show up on the cameras here, but look, if you call Mark, and we'll give you Mark's phone number again shortly, he'll be glad to show you that, as well as a nice portfolio of some of his larger pieces that we just couldn't bring to the studio.
Right.
Let's take a look at the last box, Mark.
Okay. I should say that these boxes represent small prototypes of what could be turned into larger pieces.
You could make them almost sauna-sized?
Oh
or-
yes, and they would be they would work well as armoires or wardrobes, or with imagine cabinet doors on these. And
Can you imagine a wardrobe? You'd have to build, and you build a lot of ladders. You'd have to build ladders into this thing, live in a
Yes.
two-story atrium or something. They've all been empty so far. All been empty so far. So birch again is, I have no idea what kind of wood this is at the bottom.
I'm not sure either.
What does it matter? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's natural. You found it.
Right.
Well, before we leave, I know Mark has given you his number already, but now that you've seen live and in person some of the things Mark does, and as I said, Mark has a nice portfolio of photos of the things he has, and plus his home is a fascinating place to visit. I'd like to give Mark one last opportunity to let you know how to reach him, what his terms are, what kind of things he can do for you. So, Mark, your name, number, location, give us the works.
Yes, I'm Mark Johnson, and that's Riverside, Illinois. And my number, the area code is 708-442-5617. And I sure would appreciate all calls.
This is not one of those starving artist kind of calls either, folks. He's not going to be at the Ramada Inn. He's not going to be at the Holiday Inn in Hoffman Estates. This is his home and studio. The stuff is really worth taking a look at. Highly recommend you give Mark a call. Thanks again for coming.
My pleasure.
Hi, just elevated up from the 7th Circle of Hades. I understand this elevator was put in for protected groups. 7th Circle of Hades is for the school board, so that's where I just was. My producer has asked that I turn over a few moments to her. She has a few important words to say about serious matters affecting the earth, the impending ecological apocalypse, and how to dress for it. So, Maren, take it away.
This is the part of the show where the producer gets to boost her ego by being the talent on the show instead of just being behind the scenes person. I'm here to talk about what it is to be a granola. Now, what exactly is a granola, you may ask? Well, I have created a clever little acronym here for you. A granola is Global Realization Activists for Natural Organic Life Awareness. Ha, isn't that clever? Okay, that's exactly what a granola is, but how does one go about being a granola? Well, first of all, you have to get the right gear. You have to look right for the position of being a granola. It's an honor to be a granola. So if my camera person could zoom in, I'd like you to check out these lovely boots of mine. These are called granola boots. Now, you can get boots like this, like I got at a garage sale for approximately $3, or you could be a bit more outgoing, a bit more willing to spend your money, and you can go to your local Montgomery Wards and get a pair quite like this. Now, to be a true granola, you must consult your LL Bean catalog. This is a Bible for the granola clothing wearer. This is what you go to for any type of clothing you need. Other types of clothing you do need, we'll go over those too, are logo t-shirts, clever logo t-shirts that display your understanding of what it is to be a granola and your agreement with granola activities and ways to be a granola. So, here I have a lovely peace t-shirt. See, it says peace and global understanding. Okay, that's a very granola t-shirt. Another t-shirt I have here is the Rainforest Crunch t-shirt. Can you zoom in on that? Okay, Rainforest Crunch helps save the rainforest, and on the back here it says, tropical trees hold up the sky, protect the living rainforest. A very granola thing to wear. Now, as we move on, if in your granola endeavors it happens to get a bit cooler outside, too cool for these clever logo t-shirts, we have the ultimate in granola wear. This is called a poncho, okay? Now, if you are a bit stingy and you don't want to put out the cash for a poncho, you can always revert to the old standard tie-dye. These will do in a pinch. You know, tie-dyes are always good for granolas. For your bottoms, you should just wear a pair of regular straight-leg jeans, none of those tapered-in kinds. No need for that. Just straight-leg jeans or a pair of cut-off shorts. Now, if you want to be a bit more chic about it, or chic, I should say, just go to your trusty LL Bean catalog. They have all sorts of walking shorts, any type of shorts you would want that actually don't have the clever fringe that I have on my shorts. So you can just go back to your trusty LL Bean for any other sort of clothing you need that would, and you know if you get it from LL Bean, you're getting a very granola product. Okay, the last thing we want to go through is you need a guidebook for living a granola lifestyle. Now this is called, let's see, How to Make the World a Better Place. And it is full of helpful hints and tips that will help you become the true granola that you need to be so that you can be a global realization activist for natural organic life awareness. And one last thing, the hair is optional.
This is kind of like at the end of the Let It Be movie, right? Where the Beatles get together with themselves one last time and go out on the roof and play for fans. Well, this is my last appearance as myself. Again, I'm breaking up with myself after this show. That was the first installment of Not the Show Next Door. We're going to be doing one more later in the season. One of the segments I can tell you about is we're going to do a startling documentary on the homeless of Riverside. You've looked for them. We found the one. What else is going to happen in that show? We're really not sure yet. I mean, we didn't have the faintest idea what this show is going to be about when we started it either, but we will be back. So, thanks for staying with us. You showed great patience, good humor, and a total lack of discernment. So until next time, thank God for editing, right?